Hey there! Welcome back to Reddit Dating, best channel for cheating stories. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more spicy stories. Married 10 years, wife cheating and confronted her. So I'm looking for some frank advice here. My wife and I have been married for 10 years, we have 3 children, and we have a wonderful relationship. Up until approximately 3 days ago, she was my best friend. My phone was using a large quantity of data. It turned out to be a mobile app. It's not a huge deal. When I pick up the consumption statistics, though, it automatically pulls up phone calls first. At 2 a.m., I notice a 4 to 5 minute phone call to an unknown number. So I search up the number, how many calls, how long, and so on. It turns out that there have been 37 calls to this number, 25 of which had come after I had fallen asleep in bed. Many of them around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m. she was accosted by me. She has a new, excellent, work with a highly clever employer whom she admires, and made this clear to me. I've always had faith in her. All of her phone calls were to her employer. He called only 3 or 4 times. She said that everything they discussed was work-related. I insisted on it several times. Regardless, I know some of the evenings we had a few toddies, weekends. She again lied to me 2 months ago when she stated she went jogging alone at 5:30 a.m. She did. But he eventually showed there and said that he couldn't run that early. It's not a huge thing since she told me she was jogging with him, but when she came back, she maintained he hadn't even shown up. So what's the point of lying about it? It's very strange. I confronted her about it, and she said that she loves me and only has affections for me, and that she would not ruin her and his careers by cheating. She is more concerned about what she might lose than with how much she loves me. He has a high-end sports vehicle and is married with 2 children. My wife told him he needed to send her conference updates while he was on business. He eventually sends her a photo of a $750K automobile he is considering purchasing. She shows me, but it's still strange that he's texting this to his employee, right? Aside from that, she disabled messaging on her iPad and her home computer. She also reset the passwords for this account. I forced her to show me the text she had sent to him, since she had deleted them all. So, what now? Was she also having a physical affair? She states unequivocally that it was all about business. I would remark that she is hooked to school and learning, which is not surprising. But the fact that he was responsive to her calls in the middle of the night is troubling. Update 1. We've been conversing for a few days now, 4 days after I found out, and squabbling, and so forth. She says that she loves me, that she has only loved me, and that she will always love me. Nothing physical ever occurred. That the new job had gotten her worked up, that someone might have killed if she had put the incorrect item in, and that she contacted him late one night to make sure what she'd done was correct. This resulted in multiple late-night calls. She confesses to calling, but claims she never emotionally cheated since it was for business. She has no affections for him, and their relationship has been, and continues to be strictly business. That's okay. I'm rational, and this seems to be fair. She willingly handed me her iPhone and instructed me to put spyware on it. I informed her that I would be retrieving all of the communications, and she agreed it was great. So, am I being too dramatic? But why would they be erased if they weren't incriminating? She said she didn't think I'd like it if I found out she was texting him. I said 1. Do you think I'd prefer to find out you deleted all of the messages? 2. Why should I worry if it was all professional? She's apologized about 1,000,000 times and promised it won't happen again, but I can't get over the messages being erased. It'll be interesting to see whether she deleted them or not. Phoned her at work to inquire about the number. If she deleted them immediately after I phoned, the texts will very certainly be damning. Update 2. Sorry for not updating in a while. This is terrible. As a result, the texting persisted. The phone calls ceased. So without going into too much detail, since this could go on forever, she continued to get messages from him for the previous 7 months. He sent her a few of texts, asking if he could purchase her lingerie and complimenting her on her physique. She responded by text message. Don't put me to the test, she said. He said, I'd love to put you to the test. Throughout the night. Everything was rescued by me. We still had a terrific relationship at the time, with love yous and morning kisses. They then attended a seminar together a few weeks ago. When I phoned, she hung up. Then she phoned him from her room to his room, so it wouldn't show up on phone records. Detail here. He contacted her from a mobile phone that didn't belong to him, so I couldn't trace it. He comes there. I also have the whole audio for this. When she arrived home, I listened. She became utterly still. I couldn't believe what was going on and how much I knew. Things got a little hairy. No violence, just yelling and screaming. I walked away. She spent a few days with her parents' children. She returned, willing to work things out. Counseling was agreed upon. I'm a jumbled mess. I'm at a loss on what to do. I adore her. I think she's my soulmate. She said that they had both just woken up and that they were making things happen together, and that the excitement and thrill of it all, yada yada, yada yada. But he's a serial predator. They continue to collaborate, albeit far less. What should I do? He claims to have informed his wife, but I've seen the chats, and it looks he didn't tell her everything, like the part where they have, which is pretty clear on the audio. Story 2. Married for 19 years before my wife cheated on me. This is my first time on Reddit. I'll be 75 this July, and I've seen a lot of things. I wanted to share my story with the younger generation before I die, quite frankly. I have lung cancer and I don't expect to be around much longer, so this information needs to get out there. I got married when I was 18 in 1964. It feels like I'm not even the same person anymore. I used to be in good physical shape, and now I'm stuck in a wheelchair. My wife and I both had to work full-time since I didn't have the income to support both of us. I worked in construction and she cleaned hotel rooms. We never had any kids, and we still had time to ourselves on the weekends. I don't think we ever argued, but this was so long ago I'm losing details. Though, and we didn't have any issues getting along. Over the years I started to make more money and she was able to quit her job and stay at home. I would work longer nights though, and our marriage turned more into friendship, honestly. We rarely had, and although I still loved her, I felt like it was different. We didn't spend enough time together towards the end. I take the blame for leading us down the wrong road with my job. As you will read later on, this wasn't the only issue. But still, I should have addressed this situation while I still could have. One night I get back from work, and at first everything seems normal. Dinner was ready and we had the TV set to baseball, my favorite back in the day. I talked to her in the kitchen for a little and went to my room to change out of my work clothes. When I went in there, I found a box of condoms on my nightstand. I started to panic because I had a vasectomy years before this and never used condoms. I immediately asked my wife about them, and she couldn't think of an explanation in time. She started crying and came clean about the cheating. She invited her friend from work over for while I was out and apparently forgot to get rid of the condoms. I'm not ashamed to admit I was crying as well after hearing that. I tried to find out why she did this, and she said she just wasn't attracted to me, was lonely, and never enjoyed our I didn't know what to say, and ended up leaving. We got divorced after 19 years of being married. In my 40s, I was a disaster. I lost all confidence and motivation to go on. I started drinking and eventually became an alcoholic. It took me until my 60s to kick this habit. I couldn't look myself in the mirror while thinking I was a failure of a man. I wanted to date again, but I just thought the same would happen again. It never occurred to me that I was bad in bed, and I really didn't have any good answers. My skin started to wrinkle a bit, especially on the back of my legs, but I took pride in maintaining my figure for a while, and when I had during our marriage, I swear she enjoyed it. I kept my tough guy appearance through my 30s, and would still wear my bandana during, which was a turn-on for her. I was generous and always went down on her when she wanted me to. I used cock rings to maintain erections, and I could always extra hard, which was a fetish of hers. If I tried my best, by definition, I couldn't do anything else. As time went by, though, I started to think about the idea that at an older age wasn't too important, and about 5 years ago, I started dating again. We don't have an active life, but she assured me that there was nothing wrong with me. I remarried last year, which made me so happy, but unfortunately, that's when I got my cancer diagnosis. Since then, I've lost a lot of energy, and my new wife is the only one that keeps me going. We are trying chemo, but the future looks bleak. In my remaining days, I want to share some knowledge I've collected over the years to make the world a better place. My abilities are also slowly waning, so I need to do this before it's too late. I hope all reading this can learn something from me to make their life better. Story 3. My wife with co-worker. My ex-girlfriend and I met in college. She was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. She was usually followed by a swarm of boys. I took a few courses with her over the course of 4 years, but I never pursued her because, well, all the other men. After class one day, she asked if I wanted to study with her, and the rest is history. So we tied the knot. We began our careers in the same field, but with separate businesses, an industry dominated by men. While she struggled, I had rapid success. During her first year, she changed jobs. She persisted in her battle. She got pregnant with our first child in her third year. She worked her way through the pregnancy. During a normal checkup a few weeks after giving birth, her doctor requested a cervix biopsy. Precancerous cells were discovered in the findings. The doctor recommended us to have additional children as soon as possible since this condition would worsen and a hysterectomy would be required eventually. So when she felt like it, she became pregnant again. Within a year of each other, she gave birth to another son. Following that, further tests were performed, and many doctors recommended us to proceed with the treatment right away since we could not afford to wait. She had her operation done when her 2 kids were still newborns. She was devastated that she was no longer able to have children, as we had hoped for a big family. She devoted herself to becoming a wonderful mother, and she succeeded. She became a stay-at-home mom. She was responsible for everything at home. Meanwhile, my career was progressing. I was offered a job with another firm with a significant wage increase. Life is wonderful. When the boys started to school, she volunteered and became a regular there. I should explain that we went to school with close buddies. B and A, we saw each other a lot. They had their first child around the same time we did. They have 1 child. We went on vacations, dinners, and trips as a family, and we were the best of friends. A, the mother, returned to work after the birth of her son and is now quite successful. B had a decent employment as well until about 2001, when it was discontinued. He struggled to find employment in his industry since the economy was so bad at the time. As they did not want to relocate, it was decided that he would work as a sod while hunting for job where we resided. The X and B did activities with children together. Even while the kids were all in school, they hung together. You can probably infer they had an affair now. I realize this narrative is lengthy, but it is not over. After approximately a year of this, B asked X whether she and I had ever discussed a divorce. We were still enjoying a terrific, if not slowing down, relationship, so it was all fantasy discussion with us. B wanted to invite a buddy into the bedroom with them. The X concurred. The day arrived, and this person, C, arrived at B's residence. He removed his suit while X and B warmed up. As a result, after that, the man informed them that he was used to having to pay for things, so he left a few $100 notes and asked X if he could have a one-on-one with X. She said that she needed to think about it and that B would get back to him. C eventually suggested someone else, and a company was established. B was eventually reemployed and had to leave X alone. She dialed a different phone number. She leased a storage container and converted it into a closet/office. She spent the money on clothing that her clients had asked. She even purchased a vehicle since she didn't want her minivan to be seen at a hotel. The boys had to pay for a decent hotel room. She stored the automobile in a storage facility. Everything was paid for in cash. I'm not aware of her ever bringing money into our life during the summer, though we would send the children to various day camps. She said she cut our budget to pay for it. She only worked throughout the school day. She was frequently picking up the boys from school. B would pick them up and keep them till she arrived home on a few rare occasions. Our family life was never jeopardized. I confess that I was working a lot and climbing the corporate ladder. The weekends were our family time. I assumed that because of my job schedule, this worked best. Most evenings, we'd snuggle on the sofa and watch TV. When everything is completed, the year 2016 arrives. We have 2 sons, one in college and the other a senior in high school. I get a phone call from BX has been admitted to the hospital. He was ambiguous, but he did say she was in a lot of pain. I get to the hospital where my wife is surrounded by equipment. They've already cleaned her up and taken x-rays of her. She has a broken jaw, a broken nose, an orbital bone fracture, and a potential concussion. She will make it, but it will be a long journey. A police officer finished his work and departed. Of course, I'm curious about what occurred. She was sobbing and mumbling nonsense as a result of the pain relievers. A nurse advised me to let her relax. They were about to put her in a room. She gave me a bag containing her clothing. I peered inside and inquired if they were hers since she never wears heels and the outfit was on to me. According to the nurse, this is what they brought from the hotel room. As a result, they shoved me out of the room. I contacted my boys to inform them. Later that night, when the effects of the pills began to wear off, I was able to piece together part of the tale. She faded away once more. I had my youngest kid fill in for her, and I dialed B. What made him call me? How did he know about it before I did? What exactly is going on? So B told me what my wife was up to. Omitting the adultery in his role, I was heartbroken. We ultimately get her home after she had jaw surgery. The nose would be patient. She recovered at home. As she became stronger, I learned the whole tale. I phoned and informed her about the affair, as well as B's status as a pimp. B was thrown out. I informed her we were done as she stood up. I asked her to go. She relocated to B's house. I started the divorce process. I've been divorced for 5 years. I still have feelings for her. It's as if she'd passed away. The pain of bereavement is overwhelming. My sons are aware of what she did. I haven't heard from her since she departed.